gracious, it's a Monday win. All right, sorry about 9:06 and 7. I was loading video. And you know me in loading videos. Abby, yeah, I wish I could say I was sleeping in a few extra minutes. By the way, we'll get into the opening kickoff and good to see people and all that kind of stuff coming up in just a little bit. John, hear you there? All right, so here's the lay of the land. Obviously, we're going till 11:07 at the very least. So we got Abe Gordon. Abe is working today, so we're going to go to that as opening kickoff coming up in just a little bit. We've got Bart Keeler coming on at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. Wow, 12 o'clock maybe in Newfoundland. 10 o'clock Eastern time. Then, no, it was technical. It was me not knowing things. No, there's always a technical challenge. And then Drew Dickinson might earn us the explicit rating at 10:30 for Prem and Proper, the review, where he gets to talk about his beloved United, and we'll go through the rest of the Premier League. And I'm sure that Drew will probably be spewing all kinds of venom about everything that was going on this weekend. With Bart, we've got some reffing down here moments, and we've got She Believes, because that's coming up before the next time that we catch up with Bart. And let's see. So She Believes, women's national team, the 4 teams there, reffing down here. So Bart will be busy at 10 o'clock. And also, like I said, Drew will be around as well. It's a Reaction Monday, so we know what that means. Whatever you want to react to. Could be Atlanta United in the 3-0 win. Abby's already reacted with the 3 points on the board. No, I see. Now, and this is a question, Abby, that you bring this up. It is a question that I posed to our buddy Abe Gordon coming up in just a little bit. It's the last question of our Q&A with our kickoff with Abe, but I do ask about April Fools and the media. I'm not a big fan of it because that would require thought first and foremost. So that's the problem. Is it anything that requiring any additional thought? It's like, and it's the idea of it perhaps being a work. And the best kind of a work is the interview, is the kind of one where you're sitting there and you're saying some kind of kernels of truth. You're turning basically you've got a bit of a shoot to it. So I'm not that, especially when it comes to journalism and stories and stuff. There was some stuff out this morning that you could sit there and go, once you read it a little bit, you're going, okay, yeah, April Fool. I'm not a big April Fool's guy because, once again, of the business that I'm in. So whatever's on your mind this morning, we'll go to Abe here in short order, go through the highlights coming back on the other side, and we have a bunch of other things that we can get into. And so I guess what we'll do without any further ado is catch up with our buddy Abe Gordon at Abe Gordon on 92.9 The Game, part of the pre- and post-game show that is attached to our buddy Garrett Chapman. And morning, everyone. So morning to the non-bank Santander. So there you go. So morning to Abby, morning to everybody that's out there this morning. All right, so before any further ado, we'll talk to Abe Gordon and talk to him before the show came on this morning. So here's our interview with Abe and getting his lay of the land from the pre and the post. Pars, it was great to see you as well. No. Nick is going to want to. Nick is going to definitely want to come over here and do the tailgating and the cooking and that kind of a thing. So that's definitely going to happen. It has not fallen off the planet. But Pars, it was good to see you yesterday too. All right, so here's our interview with Abe Gordon. Consider this the opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And here's your QR code for those of you who are watching either on Twitch, the 280 character app, or on our YouTube channel. And use the code soccer down here 15 with our friends from Kickoff Coffee. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So here's our interview with Abe. Since Abe couldn't join us live, we did it Abe on tape. So here you go with us and Abe about the match from yesterday. So, Abe, you've had the sum total of what, as we do math here, maybe 12 hours to think about things after Atlanta United got another big win at home. Now that you've had a nap, maybe a cup of coffee, and some highlights and some post-game, what sticks out in your mind after the big win?
Yeah, if we're being honest, I think Atlanta United has a new Golden Boot contender in Jamal Tiare, and I don't know how Giakoumakis is going to hold him off. April Fools, and happy April 1st to everyone. Giakoumakis got his goals in as well. But this is the effort that we expect from Atlanta United. This is the summation of what we knew a week ago in Toronto was you miss that many guys, that many first teamers, that many starters, you're not going to look like yourself. But when you come back and bring these guys back into the fold, you are, quite frankly, one of the more dangerous teams in the MLS. And it played itself out from a number of different angles. Obviously, second game at home that you get a goal right before half then leads to multiple goals in the second half. That's a trend we got to keep our eye on as we play more games, and hopefully we can get that going on the road as well. But it's also your second clean sheet at home, and it's a situation, even without Steon Gregerson, Noah Cobb stepping in there, when you have the upper spine of your team, when you have Almada and Giakoumakis, Moyamba, Sleesh, and those guys, you have to defend. Like, the opponents have to defend so hard to keep Atlanta United from scoring. They just can't really get into their attack. And so you are able to keep them off the scoreboard. And quite frankly, we know what happened with Carlos Heel a couple weeks ago. I mean, that one very clearly could have been a clean sheet as well, if not for an 80-plus minute wonder strike. So the defense is very strong. I think it's buoyed by the fact that you have to be scared of the Atlanta United offense. And Chicago came into this game having 9 goals. They were one of the best offensive teams in all of the MLS, and they just had nothing going. And this is the second, maybe third time that Atlanta United has just completely removed an opponent's best player, their strongest attacker, from having any relevancy in the game with Kuipers there yesterday. And so just look, it goes all around, right? It's not just the players, but like the midweek preparation, detailing how you want to impact them defensively, who you want to focus on, coming up with a game plan, executing that game plan, and then on game day showing up. This was a complete effort from Atlanta United. You have to be happy. Obviously, Giakoumakis gets the goal. He gets a couple of injury scares. TA comes in possibly just to protect Giakoumakis, puts one home with his first touch. It's becoming increasingly clear that Brooks Lennon is one of the MLS's preeminent crossers in the entire league. And then, to the icing on his actual birthday cake, TRA with a really nice touch after a shot from Almada hits the post, composed finish on that second one, gets a birthday brace. This was just an outstanding effort from Atlanta United. Now the question comes, we've seen it at home 3 times. Let's go get some points on the road.
Yeah, and the phrase that our Jarrett Smith likes to use, knife fight in a phone booth, can apply, I guess, for the match that just happened and going to New York to play NYCFC. When you have a team in Chicago that at one point only had 20 in the first 15 minutes, the number of passes completed was 90-27 in favor of Atlanta United. And it seemed like Chicago just wanted Atlanta United to sit there and y'all do the work. We're going to chill, almost to the Marshawn Lynch idea of I'm just here so I, or a Kurt Busch, I'm just here so I don't get fined. One of those kinds of things. Atlanta United, y'all do the hard work. We're going to sit here. Everything's cool. We're going to try to take advantage of situations. And it took a while for Atlanta United to bang on that door and then finally smash it in with that one right before the half.
Yeah, I think there are instances, and honestly, I thought Atlanta United should have played this way against Toronto. But I think there are instances where you kind of just I don't know, let's just hope for a wonder goal and see if we can hold on for however much time is left. That's kind of what I felt out of Chicago yesterday. It was I don't know, we'll see if some opportunities appear. Maybe we find some lucky nonsense way to get on the board first, and then we'll just hold on. That obviously didn't happen. Again, even the shots that were technically shot, I mean, half of them were Brad Guzan in center field waving off the right field. He's like, I got this one. It just comes, he's fielding a fair catch. It's a punt. I mean, half of them weren't really damaging shots. I know he had to go to the ground late to make a save off of a free kick. You had Sabalov Janitze, who played outstanding yesterday, get his foot to deflect one that maybe would have been troubling for Goose. But really the chances were not there. I mean, you go back to what the XG was. I think it was, and somehow every site has a different XG. So whatever site you use, the one I used said it was 4.0 for Atlanta United and 0.7 for the Chicago Fire. So that should tell you all you need to know. But yeah, I think as more teams try and figure out what's our best way to attack this Atlanta United team, because look, we know they like possession, but they've also shown they can score in transition. There's no doubt about that. They've shown that they have a much stronger defense than maybe a lot of people anticipated coming into the season. And so finding one is going to be difficult. And I really don't know what the best way to beat Atlanta United is. I guess
supposed to let people know that, Abe.
Well, I don't know. I think the key is playing them on international break. I think that's where we've settled is like, let's get 5 of their players out, and then maybe we stand a chance. But, realistically, are you comfortable in a shootout with Atlanta United, knowing that they have Giakoumakis and Thiago Almada up front, 2 of the game's best playmakers and goal scorers? You don't really want to play that. And that's maybe what I thought Chicago would try and do is like, I don't know, like maybe this is some of those like 3-2, 4-3 games that we've seen in the MLS this year. They didn't do it that way. All right. So like, what's your best plan? Like try and win a game 1-0. Like, are we really holding Atlanta United off the score sheet entirely? Are we really going to keep them down to 1 goal? Like that doesn't seem to work either. It's got to be a nightmare to look at this team, what they've put on tape this year, and say, all right, here's how we beat them. Let's do this, because their defense isn't falling apart, right? It's not the situation you're going to expect with Inter Miami where goals will be had because they're pushing. It's not that, but it's also not, one of these teams that tries to score a goal and parks the bus and sits back there, and if they can cling for 60 minutes. I don't really know what the game plan is. Right now, we still need to see them do it on the road. I think we understand, though, the opening part of the season against Columbus, Thiago Almada was not in participation with the group. He didn't look like himself in that first game. It's a game that you lost on the road 1-0. And then I don't think we really need to explain what happened in Toronto. That was somewhat expected. So it's going to be really interesting moving forward to see just how dangerous this team is on the road. That's the trend we've been talking about all offseason, right? Can they get points on the road? And I kind of throw away these first 2 results. We get our first real opportunity this week to see, because if this team starts racking up points on the road, knowing what we know about how they're going to defend Mercedes-Benz Stadium, you're looking at a team that's going to catapult up the standings pretty quickly.
Abe Gordon hanging out with us for his traditional cup of coffee. Oh, by the way, Abe, what is in the mug? What is nearby? What is the liquid that is
I got this bad boy here, just a jug of water. I do chug an energy drink on the way to work most of the times. Today was some sort of Pacific Punch Monster, I think. But I don't know. I don't play favorites when it comes to energy drinks. As long as it's got some little flavor to it, I'm good to go.
Okay. We always like to sit here and gauge on the morning show how folks get into their mornings. And so when you're there at 92.9, where you've got the big jug ready to go, I didn't know coffee or energy drink or dihydrogen oxide. I didn't know how you were playing things this morning. It looks like it's choice tea, all the above. Let's talk defense. And one of the things that is that if you wanted to talk to Gonzalo Pineda, first topic, hey, clean sheet. I know that is massively important to you. And what you're seeing are the guys up front. You're seeing Gigi come back and help defend. Saba, I'd love to know how many miles he's clocked.
7.4.
7.4 for Saba. And that's not quite Bartosz Slishian, but that's close. And you have Bart who wants to, who's running around all over the place. You have guys who want to double back from the front line to help out things defensively to continue these clean sheets. And you also mentioned Noah Cobb, who got to integrate once again with Derek Williams in this match. And you're seeing Noah's numbers and Noah's confidence. Not that he didn't have it in the first place going up against dudes that are twice his age, but Noah more than happy just to be there at the back. And Gonzalo Pineda was very, very very specific in his praise on Noah Cobb's growth once again at the back with Derek Williams.
Yeah, look, he spoke about it post-game. There are things that they need to work on, things that they want to address, but you take the steps forward that he's had largely, and it's all positive. And the question that I asked going into the game yesterday and last week at Toronto, which I was a tough answer because you go down 2-0 and obviously some of it's on the center backs, but certainly not all of it. Certainly not specifically on him. But it's at any point, does he look like he's lost? Does he look like he doesn't belong? That was far from the case yesterday. And I think the confidence, as you mentioned, is growing. I think the fact that they did face a very strong offense and held them scoreless is going to boost that. I think the fact that he's now paired with Derek Williams for a second time boosts that. And I think, we talk about Luis Abram coming back from international break. Would they start Cobb again Would they slide a Brom in there who's got a little bit more experience? We saw a Brom actually come in the later stages and slide a little bit wide, which is an interesting look. It throws you out of a couple of obvious formation possibilities down the road. But this is a situation where Cobb continues to play to the point where, when Steon Gregerson is back in 100%, obviously you'll return Steon into that lineup. But I don't see any changes being made in regards to Noah Cobb. I thought he played outstanding. Again, you're going to nitpick because you want to take every opportunity to have in-game improvements. And so, hey, why did you do this pass? You had this one open, or you didn't have to rush the clearance. You could have done it this way. You're going to nitpick a couple of things, but on the whole, it was a really strong performance from Cobb, and one that has earned him another opportunity to go on the road into a tough environment and perform again.
All right. So my last question for you has to do with today on the calendar. How are you when it comes to April Fool's jokes, doing them in the media purview, those kinds of things? Have you done anything where, I don't know, Brian Leach gets traded to the Hartford Whalers or anything like that? How are you when it comes to your April Fool's and April Fool's jokes?
Yeah, here's the problem with April Fool's jokes on social media is it goes two ways. One, people don't check sources. And then in general, so like we've seen like the fake accounts get retweeted by like legitimate reporters because they're just not paying attention, or, the one letter off fake account that kind of looks like, there's probably an OSC Nelson out there like parlaying themselves off as you.
Yeah.
As opposed to the real OSG Nelson.
There you go.
So you got to be careful with that. And, I honestly don't, because sometimes it just gets blown way out of proportions that you're reporting something or suggesting something that's not real. And so I just stay away from it in terms of making them, especially in radio. I think people, because they also may not hear you say, I'm just kidding, it was April Fool. Like if they listen for 1 minute, turn off the phone or turn off the radio to call someone, did you hear this? And they don't hear the second part of you telling it's April Fool's, you can get yourselves into real trouble and your credibility gets questioned. I stay away from it. I'm extra careful on Twitter to see who's posting what. Is it real? Could it be taken as real? Is it obviously a joke? So I don't know. It gets dangerous if you're trying to like maintain credibility. If you have none anyways, go for it. Like, who cares?
And that is not Abe Gorton on.
That's right. That's right.
At Abe. He's not the Gorton's fisherman by any stretch of the imagination. Not related. At Abe Gordon from our friends at 92.9 The Game. He's going to go to work. So he's going to take his rather large tub of liquid and head away from that studio. Abe, my friend, it's great to catch up with you as we always do on Mondays. We will catch up with you after another knife fight in a phone booth at Yankee Stadium next week, where the pitch is regulation size. And we'll find out what happened with Atlanta United on the road. Thanks again, my friend.
Yeah, don't forget, this time it is back on Star 94, the pregame and postgame here. And, yeah, looking forward to it. We got 3 points at home. That's great. Now let's get some on the road.
There you go. So that's Abe Gordon. And we bring in Jarrett now. And so, Jarrett, I'll ask you the same question that I asked Gabe out of the blocks. So now that you've had the sum total of, 13 hours to digest what happened, what's going through your mind with Atlanta's big win against Chicago?
Nothing really. It's one of those things where like Gonzalo Pineda is going to nitpick and find things to be upset about, and he's going to ask them to improve on things because you can't ever really be satisfied. That's where it gets kind of dangerous. But at the same time, there's a lot to like about what you did yesterday, considering you're missing kind of the guy who set the tone on that back line in the first few games of Steon Gregerson. You threw out a homegrown kid in Noah Cobb who is continuing to prove he belongs. But even though it took you a while to find the breakthrough, I didn't really feel like there was ever a moment where you weren't the best team on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I mentioned with Abe, I just got the impression that Chicago just kind of was like, here, it's like, yeah, we're going to get in, we're going to get out, we're going to make it as difficult as possible, and we're going to try to just get out of here with a point. We're not going to exert a whole lot of effort, and we're going to make you guys do all the work. Well,
see, to an extent, but also I don't want to sell them short. It's not like Chicago came here and refused to play. They tried some weird-ish.
Yeah, they did.
The way they tried to funnel things at times, especially in those 10 to 20-minute section of the first half, they tried some stuff. And they started to kind of find a little bit of space. And then if you're Atlanta, you did a good job of adjusting, and then you got back on the front foot and you were fine. And then you get the goal before halftime. You would love to get it before then, but it was important to me that you got that goal before the half was out so that you were able to go in there into the locker room knowing that you had done your job. You'd done some good work. You had gotten a goal. You'd gotten something to show for it. And then you're able to put them, meaning Chicago, further on the back foot. But Chicago comes out in the second half, they go for it, which you have to. We would say this, and it's one of those things where we would say the exact same thing about Atlanta United if they were on the road in that situation. Because they basically what happened in Toronto, you gave up a goal late in the first half. You came out in the second half, you came out like a house on fire, and you didn't get the goal. And then Toronto went and got their goal.
Yeah.
That kind of put that game away.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do is, as the road team, you're going to come out, you're going to try and make something happen early in the second half. They weren't able to do it, and Atlanta was able to get their second goal, which is a credit to Atlanta's attack, which was just absolutely phenomenal yesterday afternoon. Sabalov apparently took it personally that he wasn't part of Georgia's national team. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I'll
take that.
Yeah, one thing that made me really happy was so Yorgos Yakimakis last year was one of those guys that picked people up. It was just what he did. You go back to the playoff game against Columbus where Sande Silva misses a wide open net, almost like comical miss from Sande. And Yorgos is the first one to pick him up and is encouraging the crowd to pick him up. Yorgos is that kind of dude. We like that kind of dude. Now, I say that to say that one of the really impressive things for me and things that made me very happy was that people gave Yorgos a huge round of applause. In case you aren't aware, he played in the Euros this last week. And in doing so, he missed a penalty in a shootout that would have sent it would not have directly sent Greece to the Euros. This was a qualifier.
Right.
But he missed a penalty in the shootout, and they end up losing, and they're not going to the Euros. After he has spent a lot of time picking his teammates up, the fact that the crowd and the team picked him up in that moment was awesome to see. I think I've said this before. The vibes in that locker room are pretty damn immaculate right now, and you love to see it. It's just good.
Well, you got
Tom,
dudes taking each other's call signs now.
It's Tom. Nothing much about Gigi's knee. It was, I think Gunzo said it was a knee on knee kind of thing, where they're gonna wait and it kind of in wait and see mode. They're gonna check on his knee, see how he's doing, but it's not like we didn't get like a full diagnosis. They just said it was a knee on knee thing, and they're working on it. Hopefully we get something this week about it. But look, how the turntables on Jamal TRA, because God knows I watched a lot of people online last week ago in Toronto. Some reactionary folk decide that Jamal TRA was basically Kubo Torres, 2.0 after his first start. And look, he's inches away from a hat trick because of that lifted ball from Almada, which was just disgusting. Look, he's inches away from a hat trick. He's probably not going to put up 2 goals, average 2 goals every 35 minutes. It's probably not going to be what his career is.
No,
that's fine. I don't think anybody's going to be too mad at that. It's going to be okay. But if he can come in and be threatening, and you have Daniel Rios, who's going to push him the same way that bringing in Cohen pushes Brad Guzan, then you're going to be happy with it. You're going to be happy with the results because you're going to get guys pushing each other and having to perform at their best at any given moment.
Cobb pushing Gregerson. Efra
Dude,
Morales.
Efra's pushing him. Like
Yeah.
right now, like Luis Abram played for Peru's national team. I think he was out. I think he was out of the picture this last window, or wasn't starting. Excuse me.
He played 90 in the last one, which was Tuesday, and so he had to fly back from Peru after playing 90 minutes in a win. And so it made sense to me that he would come in off the bench.
But no, Bartosz Szlic played 120 minutes on the other side of the planet. And Bartosz Szlic slid right in because Bartosz Szlic is an absolute machine. He might not be human.
No,
this isn't about Luis. This isn't like this isn't a shot at Luis Abram. This is a thing where like Luis Abram's having to like fight for his life right now to get minutes on this team because you have Noah Cobb pushing, because you have now Efra pushing. Now there's going to be moments where you're going to need Luis Abram, so you got to keep him going. You got to keep him feeling good about things.
Yeah.
But man, he is fighting for his life for minutes right now, and that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So this is I don't even think it like he played 90 minutes on Tuesday. Great. Bartosz Szlic played around the world, played 120 minutes, and is getting his team to a Euros.
And he's got the shiniest sneakers. You know how the guys, when they come in their suits, on the processional walk, when they take the bus and they go upstairs and then they sign everything and then they come downstairs in the suits and they walk into the locker room in the suits. Bart was the interview for our buddy, the Hoff, and Joe Freihofer. And Bart had like glitter on his sneakers, man. I mean, he's just walking through wearing a suit and he's got glitter on the sneakers, and the glitter matches the Atlanta United red. So I give him full credit for his wardrobe on Sunday.
Hey, look good, play good. Look good, feel good, play good.
Exactly.
It's how you function.
Yes. Was the Carvel machine working? Abby is asking.
Yes.
Okay. See now.
Yes, it was.
Did
you not get any ice cream?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I came in late in the second half. I came in late in the second half, and then I started focusing on everything that was going on. The word on Gigi is, and it looked this way when you looked at the replay.
It looked like a knee-on-knee collision, like you would see in the NBA. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, we don't really know right now if there was any issue, if there's any long-term issue. Might have you're hoping it would have just been like a stinger kind of situation. But yeah, right now it's Gigi's gonna get an MRI. It looks like they're gonna make sure everything's good. He was walking around in the locker room.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, like, because it's hard to tell after a guy, like, especially the way Gigi plays. It's hard to tell when guys limp, like if they're really, really hurt limping, or if it's just because they got in a bunch of car crashes throughout the game, which Gigi tends to do when he's posting up on guys. He's such a physical pain in the ass to play against. Like, for me personally, it's always kind of hard to tell if Gigi is like really hurt or if he's just like a little sore because maybe he's a little sore because he just played a really physical game. So
and Will, this is a point that that we have mentioned. Alex, I'll get to your point in just a sec. Will, Noah Cobb, the latest in the long line of Atlanta collecting center backs who are big and fast enough to be SEC strong safeties. Yeah, Atlanta United is center back.
Dude, if you have not seen Efrain Morales, and Abby, I know you will have because you've been, God knows, in enough twos games. For those of you that don't know, Efrain Morales is about 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a classic rover.
Yeah.
Like he's got some Greg Blue energy about him, some Thomas Davis energy about him. He's just a big strapping kid. You have more of those coming, so don't worry. You have plenty of giants on the way.
Yeah,
don't worry about that.
Yeah, when you're a 6'3", 210 rover, that doesn't hurt. Will's like the roaming destroyer type.
Yeah,
not wrong.
To Amelia's point, yes. Gigi always walks like he walks like I do in the morning when I wake up, which is fine for me because I'm old and mostly out of shape. Gigi just plays, I think, such a physically demanding game that he's like limping through the locker room afterward. He'll be fine. After games, generally, we don't really know about this one. So that was kind of my thing, was like, I don't know if he was really banged up or if he's just GG after a game. We'll see. We got to wait and see. I know that's not everybody's favorite because you want answers. Like you have anxiety about it because it's great that Jamal Tayyare did what he did, but you would prefer to have the guy who's now second in the team's history in goals in less than 2 years.
Yep.
That would be just swell.
Yes.
As you're going on the road to play on a fucking postage stamp.
Yes. Alex, to your point. Alex says, interesting that when Abram came in, he thought they were going to a back three, but he ended up pushing up and really kind of playing left back at the end there. Well, and this is something
it gives you security versus like Caleb Wiley's turned into a really good, I think a better defensive left back, but it gives you some added security.
Yeah. And the point that we try to make and remind folks about occasionally when it comes to formations, it's more of a mental construct than it is a physical implementation and an idea. When you see a formation graphic come out from Opta, I mean, traditionally, you know that Atlanta United wants to play in a 4-3-3. Opta, or line up in a 4-3-3. Let me rephrase. So line up in a 4-3-3. Then you'll see formations come out from Opta, and it's like a 4-2-3-1 or whatever, and I'm sitting there looking at it going, that is nowhere close. But when you see a formational graphic or when you see names line up in a certain way, take it from the knowledge of a 4-3-3 start. Then when the ball is kicked, all bets are off. Don't get wrapped up in the idea of formations and that they are a rigid idea, because they're not. You have, as Alex saw with Luis Abram jumping into the play. So that means that when you have Luis jump into the play, that means that someone else has to retreat to cover that space, unless you rotate around and your formation takes on a different tone. Then you have somebody like Saba, who on your formation graphic is right wing. There were times in the first half, and Gonzalo Pineda wants his players to have this kind of imagination to where you fill in a space. And if it happens that your space is on the opposite side of where you lined up when the whistle blew and the ball was kicked for the first time, that's cool. That is completely okay. We saw Saba, Jared, on the left-hand side because that's where activity went. Saba found an opening. Saba saw open space, filled that open space, and it just so happened not to be on the right-hand side where he lined up when the clock started at 000 at 3:55 yesterday afternoon.
Well, he's going to move because he's going to they provide so much counter pressure. He's following his counter pressure, but then he's not going to. He's not on a bungee cord. Yeah. He's not going to spring back into shape immediately. Like the first goal, he's chasing that pressure across, but he's not going to bungee cord right back into the right back, the right wing static position. He's going to hang out for a second there. Atlanta did a really good job of forcing live ball turnovers against Chicago, which I'll harp on till the day I die. That like you need to have those live ball turnovers because they create transition opportunities. When you're not generating artificial transition through bringing up Chicago into the press, which Atlanta also did a pretty good job of. Whenever Chicago wanted to step, Atlanta was like, "Great, cool, play it back to Goose. Let's play this song. We're fine with it." But he doesn't take off and get right back into shape. He stays there. The ball turns over, and then you end up with a double advantage, really.
Yeah.
Because what you end up having is you have a skill advantage with Shande and with Saba, and you also have a numerical advantage in that moment. And then you free up Saba down the left-hand side. He's able to put the ball in for Gigi. Man, go back and watch that goal again, because it's a damn good finish from Giacomakis, because that ball takes a bounce on him, and he has to
it was deflected too when Saba centered it. It took a deflection off of the defender immediately in front of him and caused side spin to hop and slow it down, but still
Yeah.
have to deal with that spin that Gigi had to basically swat at and push in the net.
Yeah, I mean, so like you have to kind of adjust your body. If you watch Gigi kind of brings that leg up and in a bit, and it's like it's just easier said than done to make that finish. But yeah, you're it's not completely static. I don't know what I mean, you can call it a 4-3-3, and you got two guys sitting in that defensive midfield, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And then Almada sitting in front of them, and then Yorgos and the two wingers up front. You can call it a 4-3-3, but the guys are going to move around. I mean, you can call it a 4-3-3, but Caleb Wiley tucks in when they do build-up play, if you watch him. And on top of that, you get, Brooks Lennon that I've written about. Brooks Lennon tucks in way inside and build-up play and basically overloads the midfield. Yep. So, yeah, we can call it a 4-3-3 in the sense that that's how they're going to line up, like, in the first moment.
Yep.
But it's going to be fluid, and guys are going to find space. Go watch Tristan Muyumba. Like, he's not like Muyumba just kind of floats, and I mean that in the most complimentary fashion that I can. Where, like, if you watch him, the way he does pass and move, like he's going to get the ball. As he passes it off, he is going to move. Now, he may not sprint to the next spot, but other guys are moving. So, like, Almada will make a run and will clear out space, and then Tristan just kind of saunters into that space. So yeah, like that's how you're gonna move.
Yeah, here's open space. By the way,
no, I felt bad for Brady too, because like Chris Brady made some damn good saves, but he was in a firing range for different parts of that match, and it could have been a lot worse if Atlanta could have hit the broadside of a barn.
Yes,
because there were stretches where Atlanta could not hit the broadside of a barn. It was almost comical at times, like them missing those, and like Sean De Silva hit one that I think landed in McDonough.
Yeah,
where he tried to hit a ball that it did not go.
No, and then he also wrecked a Schwinn too when he was trying to get a bicycle in the first half. All right, let's go through the goals. All the goals courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game, the Odyssey app, and Major League Soccer. Here's the goal at the end of the first half from some guy named Gigi, and this once again, Saba Lobjanidze on the left as a part of where play had you drift. So once again, this was the goal right at the end of the first half that made it 1-0 to Atlanta United.
Here is Silva for Atlanta United. Great ball down the left wing for Saba. Race to it. He gets there. He crosses to Giakoumakis. Shot! Score! Boom! Giakoumakis! Welcome home, Yorgos. His fifth goal of the year. Atlanta United has the 1-0 lead.
So that made it 1-0, and according to our buddy Johannes Schneider with Atlanta United, it is now he and Joseph Martinez that have 5 and 5. Joseph did that once, and Gigi has now done it 5 goals in 5 matches to start off the season. So that made it 1-0. That was the score at the break, and Jarrett mentioned what was going on right there at the intermission. You thought that Chicago was going to come out. And they kind of came out and dictated, say, the first 10 minutes maybe of the second half, and tried to dictate pace that they didn't have in the first 45.
Yeah, they have to though. Like I said, I mean, you have to do that if you're Chicago. You have to go for it. I would be ishing on Chicago all day long and twice on Sunday if you didn't do that. You're in that situation where you're down a goal. You want to try and get something quickly. So you try, it doesn't work, and then how often do we see that in the sport where like somebody does that and they're able to get something and you flip the tenor of the game, but if you don't get it and you push and push and push and something doesn't happen positively for you, then what you end up with is Atlanta United hanging on, getting comfortable again, and then being able to eventually find a second goal.
Yeah, and by the way, we've got Gigi stealing people's material now in goal celebrations.
And this is what I was getting at though. When I tell you that the vibes be immaculate, that's one of the things I'm talking about. Like, just the chemistry between Gigi and Saba is very enjoyable. They're just kind of goofy together.
Yeah.
they're just very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this whole team has a very fun energy about it, and it's great to see. Like it's just very loose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, morning, Dell, by the way. Dell's opinion, feel like at the beginning of the season, Saba frustrated at the lack of service. Now he's feeling it and has chemistry with Gigi and others. Yeah.
You want to think of you want something that's kind of terrifying is we haven't gotten like world-ending version of Thiago Almada yet.
Yeah.
Like it feels to me like Almada's pushing, like he's like pushing things and like maybe trying a little too hard.
Yeah.
Trying to make stuff happen
Yeah.
instead of just relaxing and being the Thiago Almada that we know. And Thiago will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about him. But my point being, like, you're going to eventually get like Thiago like lining things up and just burning everybody's house to the ground.
Yes.
And factor in the fact that Saba has put together what he's put together so far with that, with Gigi. Shande's got to kind of recalibrate himself just because he's been kind of so far. Like Shande hasn't been what you were hoping he would be early on. So you want to get that going as well. But even still, aside from the fact that he got his calf muscle, they tried to remove his calf muscle involuntarily.
Oh yeah.
Edwin Mosqueda's been coming in and providing outstanding energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so Shande's going to have to kind of watch his back there.
Yeah.
Because Edwin Mosqueda wants minutes.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that you've got a lot of guys, and we'll discuss the Mosqueda call with Bart as a part of reffing down here that starts at 10 o'clock. You've got guys who I think are best in rhythm. And you look at a guy like Shande. Shande, I think, is best in rhythm. Jamal definitely is best in rhythm. And Saba, best in rhythm. Gigi feels it when everybody else is in rhythm. Mosqueda, best in rhythm. So what I mean by that is you're getting consistent minutes. You're getting consistent activity. You're getting fed service. You can occasionally finish the job. Those kinds of things. When you feel like you're inside the rhythm of this offense that we're seeing with Atlanta United, then I think that pushes everyone to be better. That pushes everyone to that next level. And that's what you're looking for. We mentioned all the depth and all the challenges that are there. When you feel like you're in rhythm, I mean, and you got a lot of guys in rhythm, it's a great test for Gonzalo Pineda to figure out, okay, who am I starting when it comes to these matches? And you might end up looking at situational things to sit there and go, okay, I need more speed here as opposed to more physical nature here. And so you might have a healthy Daniel Rios be your backup striker. And, then if Jamal, you want somebody who's more physical and more of a veteran presence, you go that direction. So having all of these different guys in rhythm is going to be key. And I think that, Jamal, I think, is an example of someone who, when he is in rhythm, it's like the old Vinnie Johnson Detroit Pistons idea of having, calling him a microwave, where he comes in, he hits that first three, you feed him and you keep feeding him and you see what happens. Gigi leaves. He's subbed out with about 30 minutes to go. And we talked about the observations. Like I said, if you look on the replay, there's one angle from Apple TV that's behind the net, and you're having to kind of look through the near post. And it looks like as Gigi was trying to swing through to make contact, it was knee to knee. And so I think that you're just looking at that. This was the goal with Jamal coming in, first touch, bordering the obscene, that made it 2-0. Once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app, Major League Soccer. Once again, Mike and Jason.
Play is resumed in the far corner, defensive corner. Here's Williams looping it up to Almada, and it lands to him inside the center circle, and he lances it out to Saba on the right wing. Saba dribbling straight down the middle, ahead to Lennon. Right side of the 18, his cross to Thierry, header! Score! Golazo! Is there a better crosser in this league right now than Brooks Lennon? Jamal Thierry says thank you very much, and Atlanta United doubles their lead.
Keep it a secret, man. It's what we're seeing from Brooks Lennon. I mean, we talked about it, Jarrett, where Brooks should be getting reps with the national team, even just being called into Camp Cupcakes. I think that it should be happening, considering what we're seeing from him out on the right-hand side. Obviously, there are other individuals internationally. You look at Dest, and you look at however you want to line up on the right, that would make it difficult for Brooks to get minutes. But at the very least, Brooks Lennon should be called into camps because of what he has been able to prove over and over and over again. And we talk about someone who's finding a rhythm with Gigi, pass weight, running up and hitting it at the right angle at the right time. I mean, literally, Brooks is running full speed. He catches that ball as he does. The ball's slowing down. Brooks hits it perfectly, goes over to the far post. Jamal jams it in. But sure, I would say that Brooks Lennon is one of the U.S.'s better kept secrets, but it's because there's a log jam at the position. And okay, cool. Stay here with Atlanta United. Continue getting minutes. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna. No one's. I don't think anybody's saying you start him over Dest, guys like that,
No.
who are outstanding for the national team. But yeah, man, like for those, those camp cupcake, if you want to call it that, fine. Yeah, bring him in for those, man. I think Brooks has earned those opportunities. He's been very good. He's been much improved defensively over the last calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, the way he crosses, the way he works on that right-hand side, that little community he's got with Saba is just absolutely lethal. I think he's done everything he can to earn that opportunity. That's a fun little transition moment in that game where, and then you get like Chicago ends up picking a yellow card up in that moment because they're mad about the lack of call and that there was a collision with Almada in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
I think it's Herbert had a collision with Almada in the middle of the field. But then, it's great from Saba in space, plays in Lennon. Lennon picks the spot out, floats it really nicely to the back post, and Jamal just picks his spot out. We were talking after the game that like it's a tougher finish than maybe it's going to get credit for, just because like Jamal doesn't put that he puts that in a great spot. He doesn't put it right at the keeper. He picks his spot and drives a header right to where he wants to do it.
Mm-hmm. And
that's damn good from him. Like I said, at that point, Chicago's pushing. You get that second goal to take the wind out of their sails. Now they're going to, in this game, they get one final push in the last 10, 15 minutes of that game. But again, you're able to kind of deaden it.
Mm-hmm. That was 2, and Atlanta United still had some chances to make it 3, and they finally do make it 3 on the north end of 90 minutes as time is literally running out of the hourglass. They're down to 10 men at this point. Chicago, like I said, we'll discuss the Tehran Red coming up in reffing down here with Bart coming up at the top of the hour. But here is goal number 3. Birthday boy gets a birthday brace. Once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app.
Mascara comes out to join him now in the corner. Loops to the end line as Thiago Almada will dribble past Pineda into the box. Gives it to Saba again. Back to Almada, just outside the 6. Turns the penalty spot. Shot off the post. Rebound to TRA. Takes a touch. Shot. Score! And you can warm up your Easter dinner. Atlanta United is going to get a clean sheet win at home.
And they did. 3-0 your final. And I think we've also got to give Jamal credit here with this one separately, Jarrett, because you had on the left-hand side, you had Saba and you had Thiago Almada basically putting on a dribbling exhibition in what looked like a 4x4 piece of turf inside the 18. And I think Saba ended up with a 360. It goes, there was a back heel involved. Thiago is behind him, pulls the ball away from the pass and the back heel. And it was like a 4-inch back heel considering how they were lined up with each other. Then you see Thiago work his way to the right, find just enough space. And I think that, Jarrett, this is the Thiago that you were talking about, just missing the chance to make it the third goal by inches by hitting the post flush. The ball comes out at a 45-degree angle. Jamal has it, and instead of pulling the trigger immediately, sent a Chicago defender over to aisle 7 to go pick up a bag of chips, stops, goes to his left, puts it past Brady, and that made it 3, and that was your final.
Yeah, Thiago was just damn determined to get a goal in this game, and he was trying to burn Chicago to the ground to do so. Almost did. Like, Brady wasn't gonna get to that ball. Not a chance in hell. But yeah, man. It's really good from TRA because it's a really composed moment from him where he's able to get that ball. You've got the guy sliding across. He just lets him go. Lets him go slide across. Lets him head over to the backyard to go have a picnic.
Yep.
And it's really good from him to take that second, and then even after he pulls it back and doesn't fire it right away, he even still has the patience to pick his head up and to look. He doesn't like dodge the first guy and blast it.
Yep.
He picks his head up, he picks his spot, gets it by Brady, and at that point, you have killed it off. And it does fit into the Gonzalo Pineda philosophy, which is why would I win by 2 goals if I can win by 3? Why would I win by 3 goals if I can win by 4? Instead of like battening down the hatches, we're going to go and get more goals, because if we make the gap bigger, then we don't have to worry as much.
Correct.
You kind of find a balance with that because, yeah, you bring in a guy like Abram late in the game to help balance things out and to make your life easier. But yeah, it was in fact very funny to watch the entire damn thing unfold. I was highly amused.
Yes, as we all should. So it was 3-0 your final, and Atlanta United gets the win there. And a lot of folks are discussing Jamal here. Will says it was the second goal on the board, first for Jamal. Great cross, but TRA got up there.
He did, and to Emilio's point about like the composure. So that was the thing that we always talked about with Joseph. That I think made Joseph so damn deadly was like Joseph just like slowed everything down in the moment. He didn't really care. He just was going to make you miserable in those moments where he was going to take an extra touch because he knew he could. He wasn't nervous about the finish. He wasn't freaking out. He took the extra touch and then was, good to go. I think it's one of the things that made Joseph so Joseph.
Yes.
And it's an incredibly important skill to have, and not everybody has it. It's hard to develop it, and give them credit for when they do that thing.
Yes. So with the win, Atlanta once again now gets ready for the lovely chance to go play on the futsal pitch or the U12 or however you want to phrase it. You are. Wait a sec. Hang on. Is it at Yankee Stadium or is it actually?
No, it's at Citi Field.
Okay, so it's at Citi Field, so it's just going to look funny. It's not going to be at the futsal pitch, but yeah, it's just going to look funny with everything going down the left field foul line. I think
there actually is going to be a 21st century champion playing at Citi Field. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's fine though, because New York City doesn't have a huge lead to gag up on this one. So
no. So with everything going on, and this will be a very, very interesting Saturday with She Believes at Mercedes-Benz and Jason and Jess calling the 12:30 kick on 92.9 The Game with the U.S. Women's National Team. After the match is over, Jason and Jess sprint to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport.
It's going to be like the airport scene from Home Alone.
Yes. And so Jason catches a flight and goes to Queens to have the plane land. And he goes, and you can see Citi Field from when you land at the airport. You can look to your left as you come out and you're looking for a taxi. You can look to your left and see Citi Field. And so I believe the hope is that Jason will get there, that he will get there at 7 o'clock, somewhere in the late 6 o'clock, early 7 o'clock hour for the matchup against NYCFC. And so that will be what I want, and what I think would be hilarious with the 7:40 kick is if Jason kind of kept a video diary of the whole thing and it's like, here's what's going on. Here he is in the airport and all this kind of stuff. Jess has to travel and Jess has to travel to Charlotte because she and Willie P are at WFNZ calling the match against New England. So Jess, once the match is over, goes to Hartsfield, flies to Charlotte Douglas, goes to Charlotte Douglas, and from there to WFNZ. So this is what you're looking at. You have two 7:40 starts for Jess, for Jessica Charman, and for Jason. And once the She Believes Cup match is over on 92.9 The Game, they are out the door, heading to the airport. Jess flying to Charlotte, Jason flying to New York in time for the matchups against the Revs and NYCFC. So please take video diaries, both of you, so we can see how this actually does work its way forward. I think it's going to be a cool day on a bunch of different fronts where She Believes is here in Atlanta, and we've got north of 43,000 so far. The number is, I think, 49.5. I think 49,540. I think is the attendance record that we're chasing after here. Upper Bowl 300s are open. 43,000 have already been sold. You figure that with walk up, it might be more. So that is your quest, to be a part of a huge day for soccer here in Atlanta on a bunch of different levels. Go to She Believes. It's a doubleheader. You can spend your entire day there, watch great soccer, and then keep an eye out on your social medias to see how close it is that Jason and Jess make it to their appointed broadcasts on the Major League Soccer side of things for 7:40 starts when it comes to Saturday. Very, very cool stuff there. Let's see. Yeah. Abby, I think that, Abby is volunteering that the Abstermobile can take them to the airport. I believe they have transportation. This has been thought out for quite some time. Literally, this is like plotted and planned, and you're running down, you're meeting your vehicle here, you're hopping into the car, you're using the computer generated directions lady, you're getting to the airport as quickly as possible, you're hopping on a plane, and you're flying to your appointed market, either Charlotte or New York City. So that's what you're staring at. Rich, of course. Rich coming in. The Union's still undefeated, and it's WrestleMania week in Philly. Yes, it is. And I believe that there probably will be some viewing of WrestleMania XL, probably here in Office HD. So we're going to be having fun, at least on Sunday, because of the activity on Saturday. Everybody's got to come back into Atlanta and kind of make sure that everything is there. Busy week here on the network because we've got soccer, high school soccer later today. It is the Baylor School and out of Chattanooga at Johnson Gainesville. It is a 6:00 kick. It is just a boys match. And Jason and Maddie will have that for you. They'll come on a little before 6, and that will be your first match of the day. Then tomorrow, it is Calhoun and Sonoraville. It is a doubleheader. I believe it's 5 and 7. Girls at 5 will be on a little before. Maddie will be with you, and I'll be with you from Sonoraville. It's our first visit up there to catch up with the Phoenix. Big activity there during spring break. Calhoun and Sonoraville 5 and 7 on the network at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. 7:30 on Wednesday. I think we're all going to partake in some Open Cup and maybe go see Apotheos and Red Wolves. I think that's probably going to be on the night side on your Wednesday. We're going to try and turn Tuesday into an Open Cup preview show. Get as many of the coaches as we can grab and as many people that we can to talk about Open Cup and matchups and how seasons have gone so far. Wednesday, Tyler Pilgrim will join us at 9:15. The busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, scheduled for 10 o'clock. We'll talk about more Open Cup then as well. Thursday, hopefully Jason can join us, and he'll discuss everything going on with She Believes and with Atlanta United. Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30 on Thursday. Friday, it looks like we will have the commissioner of NISA, John Pruch, in the 10 o'clock hour. So their season is kicking off this weekend. We still have a lot of questions involving Georgia Lions FCSC, and we will get those answered, and we will get to kind of the season preview of NISA, but there are those off-the-field questions, especially here in the footprint, that we hopefully can get addressed. Friday, it looks like the 10 o'clock hour is going to start with the commissioner of NISA, John Pruch. and we'll go from there. And then obviously we'll wrap up the week with Weekend Whip Around Patent Pending Trademark coming. Wesleyan and Calhoun girls at the end of spring break here in the state of Georgia. We'll have that one. That is a 4 o'clock kick in Calhoun. We'll have that one. It's a solo. Come on a little before 4 o'clock there. So it is high school soccer tonight, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. High school soccer doubleheader tomorrow, and then high school soccer again on Friday. So that is the rundown for the week as we lay everything out here for a very, very busy week here to kick things off in the early part of August. Tom, Uncle Arthur probably has a helicopter, but I don't know, and I'm sure that Uncle Arthur probably could find a place to land said helicopter to pick up Jess and Jason and take them to the airport. My only problem is, where would you land the helicopter as you get closer to the airport? Because then you're violating, you're getting into discussions with the FAA about airspace. And where do you land? And how do they get to the airport? Because they can't quite get to the airport if you can't land on the premises. So, but no, it's going to be a great week. And then we get She Believes on Saturday, all that kind of stuff. We will save your question for Bart. It is a long question, so we'll save it for Bart. Okay. So Tom is just suggesting that, you just open up the roof and then you make sure that the helicopter comes through the center of the Venus flytrap, lands right there on the field, picks up Jason and Jess, and then it spirits out, out the side. But I would think that maybe if you landed in the courtyard outside the building, then you pick them up there, and then you'd figure out what's going on and do it that way. So that would be the best thing that I would think. Just land outside the building and then work your way in. And then they run out with their head ducked, and then they go to the helicopter. Helicopter takes them. But like I said, where do you land the helicopter when you're in airport airspace? That would be my question. I mean, like I said, I'm sure that you can get special papal dispensation for something like that, but I don't know where that would be. So that's the larger question. Okay, so we're saving Will's question. Rich, yeah, I mean, when it comes to, and I know that folks look at NISA, but we're tackling it from a journalistic perspective because of one of the teams that is slated to play in the league this year, and they, in a 2.5 month period, have gone from being 20 minutes outside the city of Atlanta to don't know where. They're listed as playing in a town that's about 2 hours north of here. And so I wanted to try to understand the vetting process, because the original owners of the team in NISA that's supposed to play outside the city, they've left a lot of wreckage behind, and I wanted to get into the vetting process and those kinds of things when it comes to allowing franchises in and what they see in franchises. Okay. It is after 10 o'clock, and now that means that Bart is here. And so we get to discuss stuff. That's the official term. What is up, Bart? Have you recovered?
Yeah, I'm trying. It was a long day yesterday.
Well,
I was up early.
Yeah, with your Arsenal and Man City. Oh, what's in the mug, by the way? Sorry, I forgot to ask.
Just coffee. Atlanta United mug.
Okay. He's wearing his Arsenal T-shirt, and he's got his Atlanta United mug out there.
League Cup champions, Conti Cup champions as of yesterday. So was up at the bar to watch that. Unfortunately, we thought it was going to be on Paramount Plus. It was not. They lied to us. So we were watching it on our phones at the table. And then the game went into extra time, and we're trying to watch that while also watching the Arsenal Man City match on the men's side on TV. That was fun.
Yes. Because you had a busy day, and I did see your photo on social media. And apparently there was in the Chelsea Arsenal Cup final, there was a tete-a-tete and some pushing by Emma Hayes, the future U.S.
Yeah, I got to be honest, I wasn't aware of this. And granted, I was watching on a 4-inch screen, so I couldn't see all of it. But even the video I saw of what Jonas Eidevall did, it wasn't I could see a little bit of why Emma was upset, because he was definitely upset at Chelsea for some not getting a ball in quick enough, basically. But, I think it wasn't anything that most managers do. So I'm not quite sure what Emma was super upset about, but whatever. People get heated after a game, and especially after you've lost a Leagues Cup final to the same team 2 years in a row. So
so there you go. There's your shot. All right. Don't lose. There are a couple of moments that I wanted to get into when it comes to reffing down here, but let me start with the She Believes conversation. Since it is coming here to Atlanta this weekend, when it comes to the She Believes roster, I know that it's been addressed on the Soccer for US POD. Now that you've put the Soccer for US POD in the barn, people can listen to it here on the network, and you've had some time to think. How do you look at this roster that is coming here to Atlanta, and what are you anticipating from it in their look going up against these other three teams?
Well, I think first off, feels like we're finally trying to turn the page from 2023 World Cup to whatever that next iteration of the U.S. women's national team is. So that's the biggest thing, is you're seeing newer players, but also kind of a solidified new core, if that makes any sense, John. I think there are some players that are fringe players that are getting called in. And as much as I love her, Lily Johannes is one of those, okay, well, let's see how she actually does for the U.S. women's national team. Let's see if she even wants to play. She still has a decision she could make if she wants to play for the U.S. or Netherlands. Corbin Albert had some things go on in her personal life over the weekend, but her teammate at PSG, Eva Gaetino, is also in this roster. She's a center back. And while I don't necessarily think she's a better option than anything we have, it's nice to see new faces and names brought in to the women's national team, when it feels like for the longest time, I think Vlatko kind of settled on his World Cup roster way too early, which ended up biting him a little bit because he brought in some players who hadn't really played a lot once the World Cup came around. So I'm hoping this is a good first step of expanding the player pool so we have a full assortment of players to choose from when A, we have the Olympics this summer, and B, we have the World Cup in now 3 years' time, which, by the way, John,
yes,
we still don't have a host determined.
No, we do not. Jarrett, before you go in the Irish goodbye, anything for Bart?
Yeah, because we got the question brought up already. You want to talk about the red card yesterday?
Okay,
how clear cut it was.
All right, so we'll go.
The stomping on a player's calf.
Yeah,
the part where he tried to extract his calf muscle with a foot.
Yes. So here is how it was called, courtesy of Steve Cangelosi, Danny Higginbotham, Apple TV Plus, Major League Soccer. Here's how it was called in the moment, and there's a little bit of the beauty of replay. You get to hear how Danny responded to it. But here is the Tehran red from yesterday.
It's not what you would call a traditional winger that doesn't want to defend. He's going to cover his mate.
This is what they expected from him. Signed as a Georgian DP last year in August of last season, and we have a straight red card that comes out of the pocket of referee Lucas Spala.
And just see, it's actually just as he comes in here. Oh, that's awful. That is awful. Such a poor challenge.
So Danny Higginbotham says it's a poor challenge. He wasn't wrong.
No, I mean, look, this was as clear cut of a straight red as you're going to get, because it really wasn't even within the scope of trying to make a play on the ball, right? It wasn't a bad challenge that just went poorly. It was a dude just reaching out and trying to put his cleats in the back of another guy's calf. And that is, yeah, that was bad. And I could see it from my seats, and I was directly behind the play. And as soon as he brought out the red, I was like, oh yeah, that was he must have stomped on his calf. And then you see the replay, oh yeah, he did. It was bad. And don't do that. That's my advice. It's my professional refereeing advice. Don't do that.
Don't try and extract someone's leg muscle.
Yeah.
See, and that to me sounds like I think your first Soccer for US POD T-shirt involving cards. Don't do that. Literally, just put that on the shirt. Don't do that with and you can have it in yellow and in red. You can have two separate versions for Soccer for US POD. Just sit there and go, don't do that. Literally, and just have the two colors for the T-shirts. When it comes to something that is that particularly egregious, as Jarrett gives us the Irish goodbye. How much, I mean, and I guess, is this something that center refs think about when it comes to the instinct of wanting to go red versus thinking it through and going yellow and then upgrading it through VAR or something like that? When it comes to an egregious foul, when you have an egregious foul happen in front of you,
Yeah.
how do you stop the instinct of going to what could, I guess, of trying to be too safe in the call and having it build? Or do you just sit there and go with your gut and sit there and go, yeah, man, that was a red bang? I mean, how do you balance the idea of trying to slow things down and process the call before you pull the card out and figure out the severity of it in a situation like that?
So I think actually VAR helps with that a lot, because we can feel confident giving a straight red now, knowing that we can look at it again and say, oh yeah, okay, I didn't, this isn't straight red. Well, we can bring it back.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I'm refereeing, I don't want to give a straight red if I don't have to, because that obviously means that, especially at my level, a kid no longer gets to play in this game and possibly has, matches after that he can't play. So I do think that now with VAR, you feel a little bit more secure in giving a red card immediately for what we think is a bad call, because you can go back and look and go, oh, okay, like I see that this wasn't a straight red because of X, Y, and Z. Because sometimes you see a really nasty challenge, you go, whoa, that's a red card. And then you look back and you go, oh, actually, okay, not as bad as I thought. But conversely, we have a lot of times where we can be a little bit quicker to give a yellow card, where we go, oh, that's a bad challenge, and give a yellow card immediately to kind of calm the situation and not make the other team mad as well, because at this point, tempers are flaring. And I don't know if you know this, John, but grown adult men are not very good at controlling their tempers.
What?
And what you can then do is then go back to VAR and go, oh, no, this definitely was a red card. And obviously in the game yesterday, I don't think VAR even had to check it. I think they probably did a quick replay and said, yep, you got that right. Good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it does. I think you have some sort of not freedom, but security to give a straight red, because at that level, you have the ability to go back and check yourself. Whereas at my level, or levels where you don't have VAR, it's really hard to give that straight red for a clear foul, because you want to make 100% sure. There's a difference between a red card for a guy throwing a punch versus a guy with a bad challenge. Now, again, what I think we saw yesterday would have been a red card no matter what. That was a very clear cut, and also right in front of the ref. It was idiotic to a lot of things, but I think that just sums up Chicago Fire at this point in time. So it was what it was. There wasn't a whole lot of debate around it.
Yeah, I do want to circle back to talk about the other teams in She Believes before you do eventually say goodbye. But the other call that I wanted to get into this week with reffing down here happened in the Premier League, and it was in the chaos of the Newcastle-West Ham match, and it dealt with Anthony Gordon. And so here is that particular play as it was presented on NBC Sports, Peacock, and the Premier League. Once again, this is Anthony Gordon inside the 18, Newcastle and West Ham. Thanks again to our friends at Peacock and the Prem.
Guimaraes, Longstaff, Phillips dwelled too long. Gordon's gone down. Well, more work for VAR in Stockley Park.
It's all happening once again. And Gordon's a man that's down inside the penalty area, but he played a lovely ball to the back post. We're just going to see it here, Anthony Gordon. Does he get his foot in front of the ball? Can't actually see that momentum there. I think he's actually being clipped inside the area, but I don't think Gordon actually does anything with the ball neither.
It's pretty obvious from these pictures that there's no intent from Calvin Phillips. But it is deemed a foul.
All right, so basically what happened, for those of you that did not have the chance to see it, Calvin Phillips, Anthony Gordon are chasing after a loose ball inside the 18, just outside the 6. And as Anthony Gordon is trying to win possession, Calvin Phillips, once again, he's winding up and he's trying to clear. But in the process of winding up and clearing, he makes contact with Anthony Gordon's leg first. And Gordon goes down. It goes to review, and it's viewed as a foul in the chaos of that. And this is something that we've seen in Major League Soccer, and we've seen it in the Premier League. And the idea of in a backswing that literally you're focused on trying to either clear the ball or shoot it, whatever the situation is. And in your backswing and follow through, you make contact with the opposing player, and then the discussion starts from there. But really, what is there to discuss?
Well, I don't know that answer, John, because this is a philosophical question that I struggle with, because I think for me personally, something that I think that IFAB should talk a little bit more to American referees, and this is going to make people mad because I think that we have a unique perspective on this. But John, you've covered basketball before, right? You're aware of the idea of vertical space in basketball.
Yeah, the principle of verticality, yes.
Yeah, you have that space from the floor to perpetuity upwards to the heavens. I think that soccer needs to take a little bit of that into the way that we call games sometimes, because I think in this instant, Gordon kind of runs into Calvin Lewart's vertical space, if you will, right? Yeah. It's not fully his, I get that, but you'd be hard pressed to tell me that he wasn't in control of that space with the ball there. I don't know if it was 100% his. I'll say that, but I think it's a tough call, because he absolutely makes contact with Gordon, and Gordon's the attacking player. So for some reason, we award that any sort of thing to the attacking player. So I think it's just hard, right? Because Alex, exactly what you just said. Like Calvin was there, Gordon was there. So who's in control of that? Who's in the control of that vertical space? Calvin may have. Gordon may. The vertical space argument is just something that I think we need to think about, because it's in this incident especially, it's something that would help clarify what's going on. We don't have those interpretational licenses under IFAB and soccer, because that's just not something that we as soccer referees talk about. That I really do think that having some conversations with other sports officials would be helpful, because sometimes they do have some things that allow us to view our games in a little bit different manner.
Yeah. And so those were the two plays that stuck into my mind. Our buddy Will in Huntsville, apparently from this past weekend in MLS Next Pro, is talking in, well, what if, quotation marks. So here's the question for Bart, and it's going to take up most of the screen, so you might have to look over the top.
Oh, boy.
I have a question for Bart. If the linesman is out of position, i.e. 30-plus yards from goal and 5 to 10 yards behind the ball, when someone hits a long shot that goes off the bar, whose decision is the call? Because that was the situation in Huntsville. Ball went off the bar, was about a yard over the line, then spun back out. Both the center and the linesman looked at each other, waiting for the other to make a decision, and they ultimately decided no goal. Think World Cup Lampard for physics. So what I'm imagining here is long distance shot.
Yeah, it's tough, because this happens a lot, right? Yeah. Where you're taking a shot from 30 some yards out. And of course the linesman's not in a position to call that, because, if the second to last defender isn't literally on the goal line at that point in time, then you're not going to see that. And the linesman is trying to run toward the end line, or the goal line, I should say, when that shot is taken, but there's no way they're going to get in position in time.
Right.
I don't really have a great answer for you. I think the unfortunate reality is, if you can't tell, you can't tell, and we have to keep playing on.
Yeah.
So, because Huntsville is associated with Nashville, I don't care. And they probably deserved it in some way, shape, or form. Sorry, Will.
Yeah.
But no, it's like that specific instant is hard, right? Yeah. Because as a center, referee, I cannot really see that, because even if I think there's space between the ball and the line, I have no clue if that ball is fully over the full line, and for the linesman's perspective, they might be able to give some insight if they're looking at it. But even then, if they're not on the goal line or close to it, because I will fully say that sometimes being on the goal line makes it very hard to see if the ball actually crossed the goal line because you have lots of things in the way of you. But, regardless, you're not in a good position to make the call, period. It's hard to make that call. And you would hope that between the two of them, they would have been able to make a conversation and come to a conclusion, but it seems like they did, and they just couldn't see. So in, a league that doesn't have VAR, those are things that are going to happen,
Yeah.
It's just, it sucks, but that's the reality.
Yeah. So when it gets to the point, what you need either is some kind of video review at MLS Next Pro, or you need an eagle eye that is outside of, and
maybe MLS Next Pro. I think they could have this technology of the goal line technology.
But every game is televised. You should be able.
Well, but televised and having cameras for VAR, John. You and I know that those aren't the same thing.
True.
I do think that maybe this is an opportunity at this level because MLS Next Pro seems to be the guinea pig for lots of things.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, predicting that MLS Next Pro in 2 years will have the offside as if you're fully past the line, last defender. We'll have the hockey offside rule in MLS Next Pro. That's my prediction.
All right.
I think they could try the GPS ball goal line technology because I still think that's useful in today's day and age, even with VAR, because you do need to be able to make decisions before an actual decision is checked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, especially for goals, if you have something like that and you stop play to check it, we have the ability to restart with the drop ball.
Yeah.
And for a goal specifically, you need to check this. This is the most important action. Like if we're talking about game altering decisions, match vital decisions, I think a goal is probably the most match vital game altering decision.
Yeah.
And so I think that there need to be ways to still get that part right.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's just unfortunate. That is what happens. Believe it or not, Will, this is what we did for 100 years of soccer history before we had technology.
You actually guessed and you had guests, and sometimes
more than 100, John. I don't know what the sport started in. The Brits claim to start in 1200 or whatever they pretend.
Okay.
But yeah, look, how long have we had referees? How long have we had linesmen? We are 20 years into actually having this technology to help us referee the sport, and before that, we just had to guess.
Yes, and so there's still guessing that's involved, but I know that since we are all children of technology, that we would be in that kind of a vein. So we'll keep an eye on that kind of stuff. So those were the two moments. But Alex, continuing, he says with our play with Calvin Phillips and Anthony Gordon, if it hadn't been in the box and instead it was Gordon trying to shield the ball at the touch line, Alex thinks Calvin would have still been called for kicking through. Again, not much Calvin Phillips could have done differently, and that's the advantage you get when you have the quickness to position yourself aggressively. And I genuinely.
Yeah, but that you're right, Alex. Like that's the problem, right? Like, yes, Calvin probably. What else is he supposed to do? Gordon just got there, if you want to say quicker, and so that again, vertical position is something that I think we need to look at. But I think in this case, you can say, well, Gordon got to that vertical space quicker.
Yep.
And those are just ways that you can kind of, at least what I do when I referee is that's one of those things that I can fall back on with the coach about my decision-making process. And it is a good way to look at the decision-making process, especially when you're going to VAR.
Yes.
Because you can kind of freeze frame and go, okay, this is where it was. Who got there first?
Yep. All right. Let's see. So as we wait to see if Drew can actually find some quiet space where he can give us the explicit warning for the morning as he talks about his beloved United. Let's go back to She Believes, because let's circle back to that, because I wanted to have Jarrett get in his question about reffing down here before he left. When you look at She Believes and the four teams that are involved, what else sticks out to you about the other three teams and the U.S. trying to turn the page, having it start with this particular tournament here at Mercedes-Benz?
Well, I think the first thing is that if I'm going to be like blunt, it's a little anticlimactic that the U.S. is going to play either Brazil or Canada in the final of the She Believes Cup, because we just played them in, back to back actually in the W Gold Cup, and these teams aren't drastically different than what we had back in March. Sorry. So if you're asking me like that is a little bit of a bummer, but at the same time, when you evaluate the rest of the world and who you could get, these are the three best opponents you could ask for. So I get why they were scheduled, but I think most importantly, and I'm going to build off what Alex just said, like if you're in Atlanta and you want to come watch a U.S. national team game, this is going to be a great one to come watch. They just opened a 300 deck from what I was reading from Doug. We have sold out the soccer allotment basically, which is an amazing testament to fandom here in Atlanta. But you're going to see two pretty good teams. I mean, people forget this Japan team. There's obviously some names and turning of the pages for them. This Japan team beat Spain, the eventual World Cup winners, beat them 4-0 in Wellington over the summer during that World Cup. I was there. And that's how good they can be and are. You even think back to a year ago this time, Japan was the team that gave U.S. fans the most concern as we watched their team beat them on an Alex Morgan goal because Malpew Alex Morgan goal because Malpew did great things. Malpew goal because Alex Morgan did great things. Sorry. That's what that series of events was. But Japan is a very good team. Very good. And people forget that they are a World Cup winner. they were the team that beat the US in 2011 in that final. And this will be a very entertaining game for us to be able to watch here in Atlanta. And the fact that we're going to have 42,000 plus fans, I mean, that's insane. I would love for us to set a record for women's attendance in a World Cup match, which we have the chance to do, as shout out to Doug, has been reporting for quite some time.
All right. So it's after 10:30. And on Mondays, we know what that means. That means that Drew comes in, catches his breath, takes a deep breath, and proceeds to vent what is left of his Manchester United-based spleen about Manchester United. Now, the key here is, and I keep Bart here on purpose because of his Arsenal pursuits, because it's also a topic at Prim and Proper, the review. Bart and I, basically, Bart is probably just going to continue sipping from his morning cup of coffee or whatever is in his Atlanta United mug. I am just going to kick back and maybe catch up on an email or two and perhaps tweet that Drew is going to be venting his spleen and earning the explicit rating for the show this morning about his beloved Manchester United and what is or is not happening going on with his Red Devils. So I feel like I need to give the proper intro for Drew. So let's just go ahead and see if we can do it this way.
It's survey time.
So since it is now survey time, I want to know why Drew is here. Is he here to see WCW? No, he's here to talk about Manchester United. So I'm going to catch up on emails and laugh and let Drew vent. Drew, the floor is yours. Explicit rating in the bullpen.
All right. Good morning, guys. Listen, one of the key topics that I really honed in on last week after the FA Cup win at home against Liverpool was you could see that they were fighting, the passion, everything was different. But now it's time to put that all together with something that we call consistency. And after beating a team like such of a rival of a team like Liverpool at home, you would think you get a little break, you get to go be with your buddies at international duty, and you come back, almost a full healthy squad. Things you think they'd be up and ready to go, but that's the exact opposite of what happened. There were 10 players on the field who didn't want to be there. The man of the match was the goalkeeper, Andre Onana, who I can't remember the last time he had a bad game. Now, I've told you guys this before. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a stats guy. So just bear with me and let me jump on my soapbox here, okay?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you guys follow the XG, but Brentford had a 3.11 to Manchester United's 0.51. 85 touches inside the box of Manchester United, which is second all-time to Manchester City, who was in the 90s. 31 shots conceded. That's 197 since January 1st, 2024. That's by far the most of anyone in the league. Okay? Marcus Rashford, once again, absolutely invisible. I'm not even too sure what's going on in that aspect. It's completely mental, and that's obvious. But it brings me back down to Erik ten Hag. I will say very strongly that I support the don't fire the manager, don't sack the manager. I think I would love to see Ineos and Ten Hag work together. I've said that before, and I'm still on that picture. But he gives himself no slack, no leeway. He continues to purposely put himself in quicksand. You beg and you plead all offseason for a ball progressor. You know, we didn't have the money, so please bring me Amrabat. He gets him. But he insists on starting Scott McTominay in that midfield, which I just mentioned quicksand, that puts your 18-year-old Kobe Mainu in quicksand because he's back defending all by himself. He's 18. He's a wonder kid, but he can't do it by himself. And if you watch McTominay, other than making up good spacing inside the box, he's completely worthless. He's a super sub. He is not a starter for Manchester United. There's a saying that there's levels to this, and he does not meet the level. All right, it's something that Jose Mourinho said in one of his many rants as a Manchester United manager. Look at what happens to the players who leave Manchester United, where they play, how much they play, if they play. McTominay is a descendant of Mourinho, and he's an even bigger descendant of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who gave him more minutes. So we're going to get back to Mourinho's point. My point in just this is where I'm going to draw the line at. Look at the reports about FC Seoul, Jesse Lingard. The manager's thinking about completely dropping him because these players at Manchester United, they get second or they get third place and they get big-headed and think, all right, well, we're the real deal. This is how it's supposed to be. And unfortunately, I don't really think that's in McTominay's head. But what are you going to think as a player who continuously gets starts for one of the top 5 clubs in the world? You're going to think you're where you belong. So when the summer comes and a club wants to buy you for a certain amount but wants to pay you this, why the heck would you want to leave United when you're going to get £200,000 a week? Guaranteed, whether or not you sit on the bench or not. Erik ten Hag really has to figure out what it is that he wants to do, because if I'm Ineos and I'm sitting back and I'm looking, I'm questioning, okay, we see the problems, but you refuse to look, and you refuse, whether it's scared or whether it's just stubbornness, you refuse to change anything up. Because we've seen what happens when McTominay comes off the bench.
He scores late goals.
Yeah, but when he's relied on to be a ball progressor or to make nice 1-2 passes through the midfield or to look up and play a long ball, which, you know, it's so sad because that's what United have reverted to. When things aren't going their way, they take wonder shots from 30 yards out right at the goalkeeper, or they revert to the long ball. And it's just so sluggish, off the ball, little movement. I don't think it's time to sack the manager. And let's all give a hand and a shout out to Thomas Frank, and most importantly, Ivan Toney. How the heck did he know to play the ball at the top of the 6 like that? I mean, what a player. He's going to, whoever, if he leaves Brentford, whoever brings him on is going to have a diamond in the rough. He beat your best number 6 in Casemiro and your best center back, Lisandro Martinez, at the same time to find. And it's another, what is that, the 20th cutback goal that United have scored on them? It's the gutless mentality that they have. You score a goal and you completely fall apart. It happens every single game. Shout out to Mason Mount. He should be your new left winger at Chelsea. I think that's I think that should be it. But and that's just another thing. Why does Bruno and Rashford never get to come off first? No matter how bad Bruno plays, he remains on the field? When you bought Mason Mount for 60 million freaking pounds for him to sit on the bench, I know he's been injured all season, but Bruno needs a gut check as well. Why is it selective?
Well, first off, Drew, as I told Bart in the green room, I admire your restraint in a public place. I really do.
It's hard.
That's I figured. Right now.
Hey, John, I just send those nasty messages to you in your Instagram DM.
Okay, as you should, because if you sent nasty messages to me, that the fact that they are there in a DM as opposed to like public, that's always a good thing. So, right now, the way things are, it is a situation for your beloved Manchester United.
Yeah.
In the table, 9 matches to go, 8 points out of Europa League football. So right now, you are right in the heart of the Europa Conference League discussion. Your next match is against Chelsea, and I've noticed that over time, your opinion of Andre Onana has shifted from 180 degrees, where you wanted him gone, because I remember our early conversation.
Well, I mean, everybody did. It's hard to argue that he's not the reason we're out of Europe.
Yep. So, what are you anticipating coming forward before we start discussing Bart and his beloved Arsenal?
I like that you asked that. Because I saw a tweet that I follow this amazing woman in Europe. Her name's Alice. She's a Manchester United fan, and she does such a great tactical analysis. And I just like her opinion. Okay. And she asked the question to all of her followers, and I think it's a brilliant question. And I'm in between, and it was, would you rather concentrate on the FA Cup, or would you rather try and battle for? I mean, right now, I don't know what. I mean, you got Chelsea and you got Liverpool in your next 2 matchups in the Premier League. Liverpool is going to be absolutely chomping at the bit to get revenge on that. So I'm not too sure how that's going to go. You got Chelsea and United. 2 teams are just Chelsea's horrible. United's Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. So you just don't know what United team you're going to get. But it's a good point, because for Ten Hag, it's like you qualify for Europe, I think you're safe.
Yeah.
You win the FA Cup, I also think you're safe.
Right.
So it's just a matter. I really truly believe if you lose to Chelsea, you got it. Because I hate to say this, I'm just uncertain about leaving with a draw or 3 points against Liverpool this weekend. So if you lose to Chelsea, I think it's concentrate on the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time to start playing people who deserve it, i.e. Ahmad, who didn't get one flipping minute on Saturday, which again, it's the choices that he makes that just really, really look at my hair. I mean, I've just been doing this the whole entire time. So
see, Bart has product in his, and he doesn't have the same worries that you do because of what's going on with Arsenal. Michael Valverde reaching out from Charlotte. Obviously, he's a Liverpool fan. And Abby is letting you know, Drew, much like the box of chocolates, even Man U doesn't know which team you're going to get. You turn into a pumpkin right now, don't you, Drew?
Yes.
All right. So what's going on with the 3D? You're next on Friday, right?
I am. It's going to be a short one. I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be on vacation this weekend, going to a friend's house. Going back to the beach. I know. That sucks. Going to hang out with some friends for WrestleMania weekend.
Ooh, there you go.
Yes.
Understood.
We got the much anticipated rematch on the way. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, 3D will be on Friday. Mostly going to talk about the Chelsea matchup and preview the Liverpool contest. And I want to what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit something different. I'm so intrigued by the United-Liverpool rivalry. I'm going to go quasi deep into the past and the history, just because I feel sometimes the 3D is a little repetitive, just going like that. So I want to change it up a little bit and just give a little bit more insight onto why this rivalry is so important to both clubs.
There you go. Dickinson JR18 on the Twitters. Drew, be safe, my friend. Enjoy your WrestleMania weekend. We'll catch up with you with the 3D, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Real quick, Bart, I just want to take my hat off to Arsenal.
Oh,
the best defensive club in all of Europe. It was an absolute spectacle. One of my favorite things, besides Jurgen Klopp crying, is seeing Pep Guardiola not knowing what to do. And when Pep is stumped, it's just classic. And Arteta, hats off. I mean, fantastic, unbelievable defensive display. But you won't hear me say that again, so hopefully somebody recorded that.
Yes.
Have a good one, guys.
Be good. That's Drew. Drew is going to go back in the real world. So, yeah, Arsenal frustrated Manchester City.
Yeah.
By the end of it all, I honestly thought that a draw was probably the right result.
Well, look, I think a lot of people have been trying to somehow knock Arsenal for, as I said, parking the bus and all these things. And sure, first off, you can say that we parked the bus, but the reality also is there was pressure high up the field.
Mm-hmm.
There was chances created. And if you ask me, we had better chances to score than City did.
Yeah, and City
I think
didn't have Kyle Walker and John Stones to help out at the back as they tried.
Right. And at the end of the day, the goal is to not lose away from home, and you didn't lose away from home. Correct. I mean, we could complain all the time. Arsenal fans could complain almost every match about teams bunkering against us. It's not the only time it's done it. And teams bunker against Man City all the time as well. So now you're just mad that because Arsenal did it and we got a result, miss me with that.
Yeah. Abby, Manchester United fans were pulling for Arsenal. It's always good when City does not get any points.
Yeah. Well, look, I think Liverpool fans are rightly happy with the results that happened on Sunday, but I would caution them because our result against City was more important to our run toward the cup. And Liverpool, congratulations, you beat Brighton at home.
And you got Sheffield.
If you're talking about results that were expected and needed, ours was ours was more needed and a little less expected than congratulations Liverpool for beating Brighton at home.
Yep. The next round of matches for the three, Liverpool has Sheffield United, Arsenal has Luton, and City has Aston Villa. So yeah. Villa and Manchester City. That's going to be another tough.
So I think all three of us play Villa on the run in. So Villa could end up spoiling someone's season and possibly making something out of their own. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean that's good stuff. So what is going on with Soccer for US POD?
We'll see, John. I am very busy this week organizing everything for She Believes Cup. So we'll see, especially my nights where I'll be painting a tifo and other things. So
there you go. Okay, so then all right. So then you are preparing for She Believes as you well should.
Yes, that's what I'll be doing.
So then we will. We'll be seeing you at She Believes.
Yes.
Please enjoy your She Believes-ness. And as always, my friend, thanks for hanging out with us on Mondays. And like I said, I tip my hat to Drew for his restraint in the public place, having to discuss Manchester United the way that he did.
Yeah, I would feel for Manchester United fans if they weren't experiencing something like, come on now. Y'all have had the majority of your life has been spent at the top of this league. So sorry that you're mediocre at this given point in time. I do want to make sure everyone knows, hey, look, at AO, we are hosting a night before party on Friday and a tailgate on Saturday. You're invited to all of them. You do not have to be a member necessarily to join. You don't have to be a member to come and hang out. So if you want, come on down to Fido Friday night for the night before party, and we'll be in the AJC lot tailgating before the game on Saturday.
That was going to be my question. So the AJC lot for AOATL getting ready for She Believes.
Yes, because unfortunately the supporters lot that Atlanta United supporters use is hard to find for Atlanta residents, let alone people coming from not Atlanta.
Oh, you ain't kidding, brother. You got to go over Memorial Drive, go up a block, and work your way over.
Look, it's a great spot. I'm not going to decry the spot itself. It's great. And I love that we have that and we have the ability to make it so fun. But yeah, especially we have people who might be coming from Florida, and we know how those people are. So we need to give them all the help they can.
Yes, Florida fan. We'll say it that way. Yeah. We will see you this weekend down at Mercedes-Benz. Thanks as always for hanging out on Mondays and breaking everything down.
Cheers, y'all.
There he goes, Bart with his mug. And so there we go. All right. So we all will be missing Saturday games because partying downtown with She Believes. There you go. All right. So we now have handful of minutes, but yeah, to wrap up things with Prem and Proper right now, Liverpool's at 2 points clear of Arsenal, 3 points clear of Manchester City, nine matches to go in the regular season. Villa is right now in the last Champions League spot at 59 points, but they have also played one more match. 30 matches in, they have 8 to go. Next match for them is Manchester City. Liverpool gets Sheffield United. Arsenal gets Luton. Manchester United right now is in 6th at 48 points, 4 points ahead of West Ham. Newcastle is 8th at 43, and that gaggle in the middle, and this is where you could get, more money. Literally, it is the payouts for being in the Premier League, it increases for every spot that you're up the table. But so if you were to look from 7th to 13th, it's separated by 6 points. West Ham 44, Newcastle 43, Brighton 42, Wolves 41, Chelsea 40, Fulham 39, Bournemouth 38. That's 7 through 13. That's crazy. That's group number. I guess that's group. Technically, that might be group 2B, because if group 2, because Manchester United's kind of on an island their own at 48. Spurs is at 56. So Spurs 3 points behind Villa. So I guess if you want to include the European spots and go 1 through 5 as group A, then Group B would start with Manchester United, but 7 through 13 separated by 6 points. Then Group C, Crystal Palace is at 30 points. They've drawn 3 of their last 5. They get Bournemouth next. This will be an interesting one. Brentford is in 15th. They're at 27 points, but they are only 5 points clear from safety. Everton, we've got Everton news on a couple of different fronts. Cover your ears because it comes from the Financial Times and it comes from newspapers, and it is not April Fool's Eve. Everton's at 25 points. They're at 6. They're in 16th. They have Newcastle next. Forest is at 22. They are out of the relegation zone on goal difference alone. 22 points, 3 goals better than Luton. Luton's at 22 points, and they are in the relegation zone. Burnley is 18 points in 19th. Sheffield United drew, and they had a lead against Fulham and couldn't hang on to it. So it was a 3-3 draw. 15 points. They are in 20. They're in 20th. 7 points. 7 points away from safety. 9 matches to go. So that's what we're staring at when it comes to the Premier League. And we're mentioning what's going on with Everton. It was an article in the Financial Times, and it once again is not speaking of 777 partners in the most glowing terms. And so let me see if I can find it quickly here, because it was there we go. U.S. regulators are pushing insurers to cut their exposure to 777. So that was the headline. Let me see if I can find the Everton article, because I actually get the chance to read it. But basically, insurers are only allowed in theory to have a certain percentage of their money tied up in exposures. You're only allowed a certain percentage, and the percentages are being looked at by U.S. regulators in a bunch of different states when it comes to the exposure that they have and how much money that Everton is owing them at present. So I guess I wound it up. But yeah, it was an article in Financial Times about where folks are looking at Everton and they're going, okay, y'all, if you're loaning money to Everton, you've got to loan less, or you've got to shore up your financing when it comes to those folks. So you got to keep an eye on that. So the Everton part with their financial woes, from our friends at The Guardian, the club loses in 22-23. Remember, in 21-22, they only lost £45 million only. Basically double that for 22-23. So Everton is now waiting to hear if they're going to get a further points deduction. This was released on the website. Accounts released during Manchester City and Arsenal. So you want to talk news dump? They released the financial findings during Manchester City and Arsenal, hoping that folks will be focused on other things. Clubs cited the indefinite suspension in sponsorship deals with key commercial partners as mitigation. Release of the accounts, which also show heavy investment in the club's new stadium at Bramley Moor Dock. Club are due to find out before the 8th of April, so a week from today, the verdict of a second charge of breaching profit and sustainability rules. Further points deduction a possibility in addition to the 6 that they've already suffered this year. Farhad Mashiri said during the past week he remains confident the protracted takeover of the club by 777 will be completed soon. So keep an eye on Everton, and in the next week, what could be going down with another points deduction and what it could mean for Everton down the stretch run. Today, as you're watching, there isn't a whole lot on, but a lot of stuff is going on in the championship and the whole promotion and relegation aspect of it all. Keeping an eye on all of that. We mentioned that police had raided Luis Rubiales' house in the corruption inquiry. Dani Alves is set to leave prison in advance of his appeal hearing. And you've got, let me see what else is going on here. In the Telegraph this morning, as we kind of tour the papers, we'll do gossip, rumor, and innuendo and other stuff before we get out of here. And Eddie Howe has issued a hands-off warning over Alexander Isak. You can't have him. Basically, what that means is you can have him for the right price, and it's got to be a lot considering that we are up against it when it comes to profit and sustainability as well. So keep an eye on outbound transfers. Keep an eye on all of that. Mauricio Pochettino accuses Chelsea of lacking heart as their match ended up in a 2-2 draw. Calvin Phillips decided to flip off West Ham fans. And remember, he was the one that was in the Roughing Down Here segment with Anthony Gordon against Newcastle. So Calvin Phillips decides to flip off fans. Nottingham Forest is adopting a post-points deduction siege mentality. So basically, if they are sitting there and they're going, okay, we might lose this, so we have to have this in addition to this actually happen. So it looks like they're going to think about things from the minus points perspective and figure out how much more work they have to do. Liverpool could land Ruben Amorim for as little as £12.8 million after Xabi Alonso basically said, nope, I'm staying. And so Liverpool is still trying to figure out what they can do, who they can get, and what the fee is going to be for getting that individual in. Liverpool have joined Manchester United and Chelsea in the race to sign Benfica's 19-year-old midfielder João Neves. He's got a €120 million release clause. United and City are interested in Bayer Leverkusen's Jeremy Frimpong. That's from the 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. And once again, remember today is April 1. Manchester City set to rekindle a move for Lucas Paquetá this summer. Leeds hoping to re-sign Calvin Phillips for about $30 million for Manchester City if they secure promotion back to the Premier League. Newcastle will speed up their search for a center back and offer Paul Dummett a new contract after Jamal Lascelles was ruled out for up to 9 months with a knee injury. Former Sheffield United boss Paul Heckingbottom leads Sunderland's list of potential candidates to be their next permanent manager. Once again, the 3-letter paper. Barcelona willing to listen to offers for Rafinha this summer to ease financial concerns, but he doesn't want to go. Real Madrid bosses think Xabi Alonso is the perfect replacement to take over from Carlo Ancelotti in 2026. Spurs plan to loan Alejo Veliz to a different club next season as they feel the Argentina U20 has not played enough games during his current spell at Sevilla. That comes from Fabrizio Romano. Some members of the Chelsea squad have made it clear to the club's owners they would prefer to see Pochettino replaced at the end of the season. And we mentioned Ruben Amorim, and Spurs have joined the race to sign Leeds United's 18-year-old midfielder Archie Gray, with Liverpool also interested in the U21 international. If you haven't seen it, go to soccerdownhere.net. Maddie caught up with Derek Williams after the match yesterday, and the story is out with Derek getting adjusted to being the veteran presence, having Noah Cobb off his right shoulder. So go to soccerdownhere.net and take a peek at Maddie and her handiwork in catching up with Derek Williams. Once again, reminder, later today, a little before 6 o'clock, it is Baylor, the Baylor School from Chattanooga, taking on Johnson Gainesville in obviously a non-region spring break match. So that's going to be a little before 6 o'clock. Jason and Maddie will have the call for you from Johnson Gainesville. And that sets up a very, very busy week for us. Once again, Tuesday, it's 5 and 7, I believe. Calhoun and Sonoraville, first visit to catch up with the Phoenix. And it's our first visit this week with our friends from Calhoun. Calhoun and Sonoraville 5-7 on the network at soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Soccerdownhere.mixler.com is the place where you can get all of our live matches. It's there. It is at soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and you can listen, and it's archived, and you can listen once, listen 1,000 times, but that's where you can pick up our games. The other high school match is a girls match Friday afternoon at 4 with Wesleyan and Calhoun, and that one is at Calhoun, and Maddie and I will be there for that one. But once again, it's just the one match. Once again, we're in spring break, so one match tonight at 6 o'clock, boys side, Baylor School out of Chattanooga and Johnson Gainesville. Tomorrow, doubleheader, Calhoun and Sonoraville in Sonoraville at the Sonoraville High's campus. That's 5-7, I think. I think it's 5-7. I don't think it's 5:30, 7:30. I think it's 5-7. So we'll be on a little before 5 o'clock. Then on Friday, Wesleyan and Calhoun, the one match will be on a little before 4. It is girls match, Wesleyan and Calhoun. So we'll catch up with them there. Guests this week. Like I said, we are efforting a lot of guests Tuesday and Wednesday because of Open Cup. So we'll see who we can catch up with on Open Cup tomorrow during the show, because matches are Tuesday and Wednesday. And we're probably going to show up for those of you that are in the Northeast Atlanta area or are fans of Apotheos and or Chattanooga Red Wolves. We're going to be there for that. Just kind of hanging out and saying hi to everybody. So Apotheos and Chattanooga Red Wolves, 7:30, just kind of hanging out. So we'll go and hang out and watch Open Cup together. But Wednesday, Tyler Pilgrim at 9:15. Busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, hopefully can join us at 10 o'clock. Thursday, Jason joins us at 9:30 to discuss She Believes, to discuss Atlanta United, both past and future, with NYCFC coming, or the trip to NYCFC coming, and his flight to JFK to get into Citi Field. And then on Friday, once again, hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals can join us. And then at 10 o'clock, it looks like we're going to be talking to the commissioner of NISA. And we'll find out about what's going on, because their regular season kicks off this weekend, and trying to get to the bottom of some things when it comes to Georgia Lions SCFC and where they are, who's in charge of them now, any repercussions when it comes to vetting a franchise, all of these questions when it comes to franchises being allowed in to NISA, and then perhaps maybe catch up with Alice Queen out at the Rockdale County paper to get the Rockdale County update after Georgia Lions left Rockdale County, which is about 20 miles outside the perimeter freeway here in the Atlanta area. So they leave there, and it looks like they've relocated to Dalton. So it looks like they've relocated to play in the City Stadium in Dalton. But we'll ask all of the development questions with NISA and how the vetting process goes, and when it comes to letting folks in the league to play and those kinds of things. So hopefully we'll have some kind of presence on Friday at 10. It might be the commissioner, might be the EVP of the league. So it looks like we will have a Prooch hanging out with us in the 10 o'clock time slot on Friday as we get you ready for the weekend. Once again, soccerdownhere.mixler.com is where you can watch and where you can listen to all of the games. A couple of other things, once again, before we go. I forgot to thank everybody. It was great to see folks when I was wearing a couple different hats and helping out our friends at Sweetwater Brewing for something that you'll see on social media. And thanks to everybody that was there in the supporters lot who had great sports. Great to see folks, and great to see folks who were interested in the Marshall Islands scarf. And I thought that was very humbling. So, Abby, someone is interested in having the Abstermobile deliver it. This is the scarf to help out our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Maddie Cruz, who is out running around doing a bunch of different things today. She is now an international marketing modeling superstar, because she models this scarf on the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation app and website. It is our way to help out in building the Marshall Islands soccer program from scratch, the last country on the planet to have a national soccer program. And I get notes every couple of days from someone who has ordered a scarf domestically here in the United States, and they're reaching out to the Marshall Islands to order the scarf. So we're sending the scarves domestically. If you are within the Abstermobile's range, it is $32. You can reach out to me, Venmo Venmo, however you want to do it. Reach out to me, DM me. We can figure out a payment plan. But if you want to do something where you need to have it shipped and it's outside the Abstermobile's range, add another $5. Our buddy Hudson out in Colorado has graciously wanted to pitch in, and he wants to add the Marshall Islands scarf to his stacks. So $32 and $5 for shipping if you're outside the Abstermobile's range. $32 if you just want the Abstermobile to deliver it to you. And once again, this goes to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. Hudson was actually worried that he was too late. There's no such thing as too late, because this is going to be, I think, a legacy project for us. So we will continue to market the scarves as long as there is demand. It's not just something until all the scarves in the box are gone, but all of the scarves, period, and the interest is there. We'll keep marketing it so folks can sit there and watch the growth of the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. So it was fun, but it was fun to catch up with folks for our friends at Sweetwater and catch up with all of you guys there in the supporters lot once again, where we were doing the stuff with Joe Freihofer and myself, the 17 Spotlight. So it was a fun afternoon. And a friend of mine, when I went back inside, it's like, they hadn't seen me in a while. They go, "You look tan." And it took me until this morning to realize it was because I spent an hour out in the sun in the supporters lot. But that was the why when it came to the supporters lot. So once again, tomorrow we'll probably talk a lot about Open Cup. We'll talk about what else is on your mind when it came to Major League Soccer with Atlanta United, with the Major League Soccer across the board, and everything else that's going on. Thanks to Drew, as always, for Prem and Proper the review. Thanks to Bart for hanging on for a lot longer than he traditionally does to hear Drew vent about Manchester United, talk about his beloved Arsenal, and do some reffing down here and get ready for She Believes. Thanks to Jared, as always, and thanks to Abe Gordon at 92.9 The Game for coming on and batting lead off, as he always does on a Monday. So once again, tomorrow we'll talk Open Cup, and we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff that's going on and whatever's on your mind as we continue to develop through the week. What is on TV? ESPN Deportes has La Liga on at 3 o'clock, Villarreal, Atletico Madrid. Apple TV and MLS Season Pass right now. You've got the Generation Adidas Cup in the U15s. It is going on right now. Genk and FC, Dallas, Valencia, and Austin FC to follow. The U17s are also going to be on Season Pass. Flamengo in all caps. Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors and Houston Dynamo. On the plus, Belgian Pro League at 12:30. English League Championship all day long. La Liga at 3 o'clock. Paramount Plus, Copa de la Liga at 6. Plus, 3 of the 5 matches in Serie A have completed on the day. Lecce and Roma's at noon. Inter and Empoli is at 2:45. And so, once again, remember, a little before 6 o'clock, it is Maddie and Jason up at Johnson Gainesville for Baylor out of Chattanooga and Johnson Gainesville. We'll be back at it again tomorrow to discuss things. That is the official terms. And it was great to see, by the way, Abby, public service announcement, may have 2 extra tickets for sale at cost, and she'll let everybody know. Yes, Michael Valverde, She Believes Week rocks. And a personal note here for some of our plus ones and some of our lifetime listeners. First off, it's great to see you guys out when we're out at Mercedes-Benz. And thank you for listening, as you always do. The Talking Heads, Michael and his wife, they were part of the Golden Spike procession. And that was very, very cool to see, because I remember that he had mentioned it, and now they got to see the two of them be part of bringing the spike down as a part of the pomp and circumstance that you see on a game day. So next time you see Michael Head, yeah, he and his wife got to take the spike down on yesterday for the matchup against Chicago. So very, very cool that we got to see that as well. So yes, Michael and so Michael and Shelley did it for faction. So there you go. The faction appointees. The talking, walking heads of Michael and Shelley. So very, very cool. Once again, we'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05. We'll talk Open Cup. We'll talk MLS. We'll talk whatever's on your mind. And we will continue to push through the week. A little before 6, high school, the SDH Monday special, considering that it's spring break here in the States. So since it is the end of the show, Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Then Maddie Cruz on the 1s and 2s. She'll be back tomorrow. Since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again. 9:05 tomorrow morning, a little less than 22 hours away. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your day. Stay cool. Be back at it again on your Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with Soccer's Morning Show. It's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. We'll see you later.